Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for joining. My name is Dwayne. Welcome to my channel. Let's get right into it. Today, we're going to be looking at Me Too and Black Men, 2017 to 2023. Overview of allegations and broader impact. So why am I discussing this? Well, it is a sensitive topic, but we really want to see the effect that the Me Too movement has had on men in general, and in this particular case, Black men, since this channel focuses on the global Black community. Okay. So the Me Too movement, in case some of you may not know, Tarana Burke, I believe, I'm not entirely sure, but she is seen as the founder of the Me Too movement. You might have been aware of some of these signs that you probably have seen. The future is female. That's one I've seen quite a lot. And I expect equality times up for my country. Right. So the Me Too movement started in October of 2017. And it really blew up following allegations against Hollywood mogul Harvey Weinstein. And this movement has significantly changed how sexual misconduct allegations are viewed and addressed. In addition to this, another high-profile case, of course, included the conviction of Bill Cosby in 2018. And really, these cases really set a precedent for accountability across all walks of life. You know, anywhere, it didn't matter if you were a sexual predator, someone came out because of the Me Too movement. You can see here, for example, very big names over here. We have, for example, look at the bottom there. We got the former president, George Herbert Walker Bush. We got next to him, Ben Affleck. I'm not sure who a lot of the others, Kevin Spacey on top there. We can see on top here, Kevin Spacey. So the Me Too movement, let me just pull this down here. So the Me Too movement started in October 2017, and since then, quite a large number of women have come out against men who they claim or allegedly claim sexually molested them or rape, or even unwanted advances and touches, and et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of it came out really in 2017. So I want to focus, move on Black men in particular, you know, African Americans, Black Americans in particular, and look at them and their cases. Now, I want to just say that, you know, at this juncture that, you know, obviously men of all races, income levels, et cetera, you know, have all been victim or they're all game, basically, you know. And the focus I want to do here is to focus on African American men, not to isolate or target them, but to understand and analyze the unique narratives, right, and challenges that is faced within the Black community, especially under the lens of the fact that, you know, we, as the Black community, I think we tend to view things differently as a group compared to other racial groups. Okay. So let's see who we have. So again, we're going to go from 2017 up until today. I'm going to just look at Black men, and we're just going to try and go through and see if we can see some of the cases there. So we're going to start with John Conyers. You might remember him. He was the former representative there in the House of Representatives. He's an interesting character. I think I have a video on him a little bit. Yeah, let's check this out real quick. PowerPoint.
And we move now to another story breaking right now. Embattled Congressman John Conyers has been hospitalized in Detroit for a stress-related illness. A consultant for the 88-year-old Democrat is blaming that stress on what he calls a, quote, media assault. Conyers, who is under investigation by the House Judiciary Committee, is facing allegations that he sexually harassed multiple women who worked in his congressional office. One of those women, Marion Brown, joined us exclusively earlier this morning, along with her attorney, Lisa Bloom. It was the first time that she has spoken out, and we began by asking her how it felt to be coming forward publicly.
Well, it's a sad day. You know, I don't feel good, but I feel determined and I feel purposeful. I felt compelled to stand up and speak out, to be a voice behind, you know, these allegations that I made. I want everyone to know it was serious. I did it 3 years ago, and Congressman Conyers came out and called me a liar, basically. So I'm here to say that I'm not a liar.
There was a settlement that was paid, and that's the revelation that came out, and that's how it is that people in the public became aware that these allegations were out there. Can you tell me what you say John Conyers did when you were his employee?
Check it out.
Yes. Some of the things that he did were, it was sexual harassment, violating my body, propositioning me, inviting me to hotels with the guise of discussing business, and then proposition me to, you know, for sex. And he's just violated my body. He has touched me in different ways, and it was very uncomfortable and very unprofessional.
You describe a course of conduct.
Okay, we're not going to play the whole video because there's quite a lot of people we got to go through that are dealing with this issue right here. So we're going to go back to looking at Conyers. So that was 2017, right? Then who do we have? Russell Simmons stepping down from companies following sexual assault allegations. So again, this is all 2017. This is when also the same time, roughly, the Harvey Weinstein allegations, the Bill Cosby and stuff like that. So suddenly we started to see this other people come down. So there's Russell Simmons. I have a video on Russell. Here we can just get a little idea of what was going on there.
Russell Simmons stepping away from his businesses.
Russell Simmons, now the latest big name, left to defend himself.
9 women accused Simmons of a wide range of misconduct, from vulgar language to assault to 4 instances of rape.
What did he do?
He raped me right up against the wall. Excuse my language.
God damn.
That's what he did. I had to keep this secret.
He showed up naked wearing a condom and tackled me to his bed while I screamed and fought and said no and cried. That's rape.
Wow. Let's hear what Russell got to say.
If the
See if we can get his side of the story.
allegations are not true, why would all these women accuse you?
I heard someone else say this, you know, that I was quite frivolous. Look, there's a song by Houdini, I'm a hoe, you know, I'm a hoe. 3 different girls after every show. Culturally, we thought that was the right way. and the number of sexual partners and compromising positions I put myself in is beyond anybody's imagination.
You said you had more foursome
Beyond anybody's imagination. You heard that one?
than most men have partners.
Yeah, you know, and that wasn't really, I think it was cultural and silly and egotistic and sad and from an insecurity that feeds it, and a lot of reasons why we were that way. If you slept with as many people as I slept with, thousands, and we're talking about 6 people.
There were like 20, right? I mean,
I
range from
I spoke
assault
poorly.
to
You mean
rape to,
that's not, no,
yeah.
I spoke poorly to 15 of them. I mean, 12 of them. I spoke poorly all the time. I'm a Def Comedy Jam guy. I was crude. So how many compromising situations was I in? And if you call that person and say, can you help me help these other?
All right, so, you know, he's kind of admitting to it. You know, he's saying that, hey, this was the culture back then. This is what I did. And he admitted he was crude. And you know what? I have an experience with Russell Simmons. When I used to live in Botswana, Botswana is known for its diamonds. Botswana is in Africa. It's known for its diamonds. It's a big diamond country. And he was getting into the business, and he came and he visited Botswana. And at the time, I was working in media. And I went to I think it was the Grand Palm Hotel. I went there. I remember I saw him, I heard him, everything. And I remember telling people afterwards that he's very like crude, disrespectful almost, like the way he speaks. So here he's admitting it here that he is that type of person because someone must have told him, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't know whether he's admitting it. It seems that he is admitting to it. He's, you know, and saying that, oh, that was the culture back then and stuff like that. But apparently now he lives in, where does he live? Indonesia, I think. And, but anyway, Russell was hit. And of course, he also lost, you know, he had to step down from the company, his reputation and all that type of thing. Went down a little bit, and I think his ex-wife also, she's coming out now and saying stuff about him. But it's just too much to me to pile up all the video. You know, this video could take hours because there's a lot of black men that since 2017, as you guys will see, that have come under the gun. I'm not going to show videos for everyone, but I thought this one was interesting. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, and take a look at sorry about that. Let's move on and take a look at this. So we're here in 2017. Let's go full screen. Who we got next? We got Tavis Smiley, accused of sexually assaulting a woman in 1993. So, you know, obviously this woman came out and said this on Tavis. I think I have a bit, yep. Let's take a look at Tavis on video and see what that is about. Okay.
And that MeToo movement has led to a growing list of men who have been suspended, resigned, or otherwise left projects amid sexual misconduct allegations. This morning, Tavis Smiley is here exclusively firing back after accusations of misconduct that led to a suspension from his PBS talk show. We're going to speak with him in just a moment, but first, ABC's Lindsay Davis has the very latest for us this morning. Good morning. Morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Paula. These days, allegations of misconduct alone set in motion a toppling of dominoes for men like Tavis Smiley, who says he's not guilty.
He's the award-winning, sometimes controversial host known for hard-hitting questions.
You think that the government assistance that goes to these babies outstrips the billions of dollars generated in this income by the work done by undocumented workers?
Tavis Smiley, host of his own late-night PBS show, is hitting back against allegations of sexual misconduct.
I have never groped, inappropriately exposed myself, or coerced any colleague in the workplace ever in my 30-year career.
Vigorously defending himself in this Facebook video after PBS indefinitely suspended distribution while investigating allegations Smiley engaged in sexual relationships with multiple subordinates. Some of those people reportedly claim they believe their jobs depended on their sexual relationship with Smiley, and that the host created a verbally abusive and threatening environment.
PBS launched this so-called investigation of me without ever even telling me about it.
PBS tells ABC News following...
Okay. We're not going to go too far into it. Like I said, there's a lot more people to cover. But as you can see, Tavis Smiley, and you see here, he did not admit to it. Russell Simmons kind of looked like he was admitting to it, and he may have done something wrong. But you can see right here, he's saying no, he's never done it, never admitted to it, the investigation, but he lost his reputation. I believe he was working with PBS, and they, as you see, he had to step down, or they fired him, or whatever the reason is. So he lost a lot, yet he denied it, you know? I try to find out what happened with this, because this was back in 2017, but a lot of these things get settled, you know? A lot of these things get settled. So that's Tavis, right? Who do we got next? Well, let's see. If we go back here, we can go and check out the next person. Ben Vereen, okay? Inappropriate sexual misconduct in 2005. So now we're in 2018, okay? Then we got Donovan McCabe, right? And I believe he worked for ESPN. You know, again, it was him and his partner. There was two black men, and they were fired, and it was just an accusation. Nothing had been, but yet they had been fired, you know. We got Morgan Freeman, you know, and you know, he's obviously very well known. He's a very well known actor, you know. And again, 8 women came out allegedly saying that he sexually harassed them or made inappropriate remarks, as you can see there. So same with him. Back in 2018, he came out. Let's see. I was going to get a video on Morgan, but let's just move on. Okay. Then, of course, everybody knows about R. Kelly, right? It had been going on for a while, and finally he was sentenced to 30 years. And now his was he was found guilty on sex trafficking. You know, and as you can see, his convictions: racketeering, sexual exploitation of a child, bribery, sex trafficking, violation of the Mann Act, enticing a child, producing child pornography. Okay, so R. Kelly went down. He was sentenced. Okay, so in this situation, he's considered guilty and he goes to jail, right? Then a lot of people are aware of Bill Cosby, and the same thing happened with Bill Cosby, right? Now, people forget sometimes that it was only one woman that he got sentenced for, one incident. The other ones, yes, there was a whole slew of women that came out, but this particular case was one particular woman in 2007 or 8, and that is where he went to jail. In fact, he's now out of jail, right? I think he was sentenced to, as you see, 3 to 10 years, but he got out in 3 years. So I believe he got out in 22 last year. So again, we're in 2018, another man down. Next one. Neil deGrasse Tyson, 2018. Multiple women accused him of sexual harassment. Now I got a video on him, and I want to listen. I want you guys to listen to what this man says in these allegations against him. Right? We got Neil deGrasse.
Well, in 2018, they tried to MeToo you, which you ultimately, after all types of investigations, everything got dropped and you went back with your career. Okay, so everything got dropped and he went back with his career. I think that was the outcome of his case. That's why probably some people are surprised. I was surprised when I saw Neil deGrasse Tyson because I don't remember the allegations against him. You know, but so everything's been dropped. He was found not guilty. And listen to what he says. Was that a rough time for you and your family?
So all I have to say about that is to live in a time where the simple act of being accused is sufficient for people to think you're guilty.
Yeah,
that's right. And the simple act of being the accuser has everyone convinced that you're innocent and have not capable of wrongdoing. if that's the case, then we don't need a justice system. Just mete out justice by up and down votes on social media and imprison people and let people go free just based on that. So I'm glad I live in a country where there's due process and investigation.
Yep.
That's the whole point of investigations. So it's, there are countries where, no, it's just the whim of whoever is in charge decides what is justice and what is not. And so, yeah, but as a movement, by the way, the Me Too movement should have been in high gear decades earlier. We had plenty of evidence of all kinds of stuff that was going on, not the least of which was the Clarence Thomas hearings, but you can go way further back than that. We knew this. And it's people badmouth social media, and yes, it's a cesspool. I'm not going to undo that about it. I mean, yes, I wish we could undo it. I'm not going to not say that about it because it is a cesspool. But within there, some very important, interesting forces have arisen that are forces of good, progressive forces.
I guess one of the forces, I guess, would be the Me Too, right? So he got off, but you heard what he said there. What he said there was really important, people, I think that, we live in the United States of America, so it's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Innocent until proven guilty, but that does not happen. These men get accused, and immediately they have to step down, they lose their position. It's almost like just the fact of getting accused, whether it happened or not, is enough to get you to lose your livelihood. And that is absolutely unfair, in my opinion, And as you can see what he's saying here, he went through, he got his due process, he went to court, everything was dropped, okay? Which means what? It was a lie against him, So some cases, they get convicted, R. Kelly or whatever, and other cases, you can see this was obviously not the case. So that's one person who's all right, I guess, So let's go back here. Okay, so we talked about Neil deGrasse Tyson. Who else we got? We got Jason Mitchell, who's an actor. I didn't really know him, but as you can see there, I guess he's an up-and-coming actor. He's been on Desperados, The Chi, and again, he's had multiple unconfirmed reports of incidents during production, and I think there was another woman that came out against him. But again, he lost his credibility, his reputation. He got rejected, as you can see, dismissed from certain projects. That's the part I don't understand. Just an accusation can cause you to go down. No, it should be, you should be innocent or presumed innocent until a jury of your peers proves you otherwise, So here's another one. This is a young cat, Then we got Cuba Gooding Jr. So let me just go back here. This was 2020. I put that, this should have been later on. But anyway, we got Cuba Gooding, accused of drunkenly groping a woman with sexual assault. There was another woman that came out as well. And in the end, Cuba, I think he just paid some money and settled it, and it was all done and everything, But he denied it, And so that was interesting. Let's just put this in here. Who else we got? We got Antonio Brown, NFL player, New England Patriots, 2019. 2 women accused him of sexual misconduct. Okay, so now we're into roughly about 2019. Jerry Harris, star of Netflix and Cheers. Look at the things that this guy was accused of. Producing child pornography, repeatedly coerced minor victims to send him obscene photos and videos of themselves, solicited sex from boys as young as 13 at cheerleading competitions. Let me just put this full screen so y'all can see clearly, you know. Interesting. Who's next? Deshaun Watson, 2022. 22 civil lawsuits were filed against Watson by women alleging inappropriate conduct and sexual assault. Okay. Who else we got? Now, before we go forward, we got to talk about this. This is called the Adult Survivors Act. Okay, and this is a very important legislation, became law, passed into law, as you can see there, by the then New York governor in May of 2022. Some people say the law was passed before that. I couldn't quite get it, but I think what happened in May 2022 is that they extended the statute of limitations for when women can report any, sexual misconduct, right? Because before you had a statute of limitations, which means you had a certain amount of period as a woman before you can no longer bring it as a lawsuit, right? There's a statute of limitations. So the Adult Survivors Act, and this is in New York State, right? So check this out, right? Since this act came into effect, and I'm also reading here November 2019. Since this act came into effect in November 2019, 2,500 offenders, 2,500 offenders have been reported. Okay. The act reached a critical point in 2023 with a surge of accusations as the deadline approached. So they extended the deadline to November 24th, 2023. So right now, I'm posting this in December, so the deadline has passed. And we'll come to understand that a little bit more in a minute. So as you can see there, it reached a critical point with a surge of accusations as the deadline approaches, right? And now we're going to start to see basically everybody who has been accused in 2023. And these are just who I could find in the limited amount of time that I have. So there's probably more people like this. And again, these are like the more famous ones, the people who would get into the media. So I'm sure if they've gone after 2,500 offenders, and that is just New York, because this is a New York act, I believe. Or at least the incident had to have occurred in New York, right? 2,500 in basically 3 years or something like that. So very, very interesting. Now let's move on with this act. This is the interesting part about it. Let's go back to full screen here. So the New York Adult Survivors Act, right? So let's just look at it again. The act temporarily eliminates the civil statute of limitations for survivors of sexual assault who are over 18 when it occurred. Okay? This gives you the right to file a lawsuit against the perpetrator or others who facilitated the assault, regardless of how long ago it occurred. So this was like an opening or a way of allowing women to come forward who previously did not for whatever reason. Okay? Then, if in the second paragraph there, the ASA, right, the act amended New York civil practice law and rules to allow alleged victims of sexual offenses for which the statute of limitations lapsed to file suits for a 1-year period called the look back window. Look at this, from 22 to what? November 24th, 2023. Between that time, a slew of men have been accused. Now, again, in this video, we're dealing with the black men. So who do we get first? Well, we get L.A. Reid, music producer, legend, Babyface and L.A. Reid, them cats. So here he had a thing. Let's just move on. We have Brother Polight. Now, a lot of people may not know Brother Polight. But if you're in the quote unquote conscious community, in the Black community, you would definitely know of Brother Polight, and as you can see there, he was sentenced to 7 years for pleading guilty to sexual battery of a minor. Let me just come here to show you. So that's Brother Polight. And Brother Polight is one of those brothers, this guy, when he came up, I think he was very young. He's one of these like child prodigies, I think he's written 20 books. He speaks 3 or 4 different languages. He's a big debater in the conscious community, big debater, particularly in the 2010s, that's really where he started to come up. But again, he was charged with now, I just want to play a little bit. I have a little bit of a video for him, which I thought was interesting, because no one else really talked about it like him. So let's just see if we can just look at this real quick. Let me just come back to full screen and then we'll go with a video split for now. Okay, so here's Brother Polight.
Blessings in abundance. The mother and the daughter and the prosecution dropped every single sexual charge. I'm saying it again. The mother, the daughter, my accusers, in addition to the state, the prosecution, all agreed they need to drop all of the sexual charges. So yeah, it's a victory, but it's bittersweet. It's a victory because I was facing life. No parole, no probation. Now you may say, how could this be possible if a minor was so-called molested and it was DNA evidence?
Okay, listen to this.
People say DNA don't lie. And I always said, people do. Well, let's do this. The serologist, the expert that so-called found 6 semen stains amongst a headscarf and a t-shirt. Never mind the fact the whole rape kit said negative, negative, negative. They checked this girl for 5 different types of DNA, finger DNA, all types of different DNA. Checked her vagina, checked her mouth, checked her saliva, checked her excrement, checked her feces, checked her urine. Everything came up negative. You would think because of all the violent acts I was accused of, how I came inside of her, how I came on her face, how I bust her mouth open from penetrating her so physically, that there would be some kind of trace of something, some kind of DNA, but the rape kit came up all negative. So now we're in a conundrum. So how the hell how does the DNA just skip to a t-shirt and a headscarf? Well, the serologist that did the report.
Okay, I'm not going to play all 9 minutes of this, but basically what he's saying is that he was kind of in a bind where he was facing life, a long time, 30 years in jail, but I guess he ended up taking a plea so that he only spent 7 years and he will not have child offender on his record or something like that. But he still has to admit to, I guess, doing something with a minor. And most people believe that he's guilty because if you were, and you hear him there explain, that's what he does in this whole video. He explaining what a great case he has. Okay, well, if you're having such a great case, then why do you need to plead? Because he even said that I have a case. Like you heard him say that they checked the DNA, they checked her for the semen, He goes on to talk about how the doctor who said that there was semen, apparently she disappeared. I wanted to play that part because he's a very good talker,
Accused of, the rape kit came up all negative, which science would suggest I did absolutely none of the things that I was accused of.
If everything came up negative, then why not go and don't plead, go and actually win your case in a court of law? That's what I think a lot of people have a problem with, Brother Polight, is that even though you're pleading, you're still admitting to something, He's saying that it's not any of the sexual charges. It's only maybe he was with a minor or something. But he actually goes on to explain the story that, you know, he actually says, okay, wait, hold on.
Absolutely none of the things that I was accused of. Okay? All right?
So he's saying that the scientific evidence did not prove any of the things that he was accused of.
That's what science would suggest. Science would suggest that. But here's this woman talking about this DNA evidence, and then now when we call her so we can interview her, get a deposition, and have it on record with my attorneys questioning them based on the findings of our forensic expert, she's nowhere to be found. So you know what we could do now? We could file a motion to dismiss the DNA for the case. That's what we could do. Because if we go to trial, we won't be able to cross-examine her because suddenly she disappears, she works for some private company, and no one could find her.
This was apparently the lady, the scientist that tested, I guess, for the prosecution, that testified or made statements that she examined the clothing and there were semen stains, whatever, and now they want her to come in. This is what he's saying, you know.
Now, all the while, the state been giving me opportunities to plead 20 years sexual offender, plead 15 years sexual offender.
Okay, listen.
And I'm like, I wouldn't care if you gave me 1 day in prison. So long as you got that label registered sex offender on there, I'm going to trial.
Okay.
So long as you got that label there, registered sex offender, I'm going to trial because I can never make a plea to something like that. So guess what happens?
So this video happened a little bit before the shit went down, and then apparently he did make
depositions. If we ever want to get a deposition from the mother and a deposition from the daughter, all bets are off. They'll never do an agreement with me.
I think the mother accused him of sleeping with the daughter and abusing her or something like that. Something like that. I think he was dating the mom and then the daughter, I think she's underage.
They said they'll never do an agreement.
But again, he claims that. Anyway, we don't want to
do our depositions. Have the prosecutors.
It's good. It's a good one. You can check online for it, but it's a good one. He says. But let's just move on because we got a couple of more things to go on there. So let's recap in this. Right. Let's go here. Let's go to our full PowerPoint again. Let's recap. Right. So we had L.A. Reid to start it off in 2023. Then we had Brother Polight. We just heard from him. Right now, he's in jail, right? He took a plea. Mike Tyson, everybody. Some people say, well, what is Mike doing in here? Well, a woman has accused Mike Tyson of raping her sometime in the early 90s. Let's just remember the deadline for the Survival Act. Where is it again? November 24th at the bottom there, 2023. Okay, so these things were coming in fast and furious, man. So Mike Tyson, he's got one out. He's there again. Of course, everyone knows Mike Tyson has dealt with this in the 1990s, in the late 80s, in the 1990s. He went to prison. He served his time. He was released. But another woman has come out and said, this is what's happening. And all these, by the way, are happening in New York, right, for these black men. And this is a very key point that I want everyone to understand. This is all happening in New York because remember, the Adult Survivors Act is in New York. It's a New York thing, New York State thing. So here we go. Boom. Tyson is in. Then the mayor of New York, ladies and gentlemen, accused of sexually assaulting a woman in 1993. Now, again, he denies, he goes, but these are all fresh and new. This is because remember, the deadline was November. This is December 2023 right now when I'm recording this. The deadline was a month ago. So this is all fresh. Boom. Look who's there. The mayor of New York City himself, accused of sexually assaulting a woman in 1993. Okay, who else we got? Boom. Jamie Foxx just came up. A woman is alleged in a lawsuit that actor, comedian, singer Jamie Foxx sexually assaulted her in a rooftop bar in New York. And remember I said everything's coming from New York. All the incidents happening in New York. Okay? All the incidents is happening in New York. Then we go again. A state senator of New York, Kevin Parker, accused of rape in lawsuit filed under state's expiring Adult Survivors Act. Again, guys, remember, this is really the last few months of 2023. All this is going on. The last few days in November of 2023. Okay? Or the months leading up to it. So let's just recap. So we look again and see L.A. Reid, Brother Polight, Mike Tyson, the mayor of New York, Jamie Foxx. Who else we got? We got the state senator, Kevin Parker. And guess who else is back on the list? A woman who works in standing in 2019 said the lawsuit used that Bill Harvey drugged and sexually abused her after offering to mentor her in an acting career. This is a new, fresh one. Remember, Bill Cosby has served his time, was released from jail a year ago, I believe, and this one popped up now, right? The deadline's coming. We gotta get it in. Okay, who else we got? And well, this one, I think everybody knows about this one, right? Because it was a very interesting one because of how quickly he settled. And I think a lot of people mentioned that, gosh, the lawsuit came and within 24, 48 hours, they settled. Well, he settled with that woman, but guess what? More women came forward to talk about Sean Diddy. And now he's kind of in a little bit of a tough spot, because a lot of people are starting to come out and talk about him. Okay. And also Aaron Hall, the R&B singer, as well. In fact, he's affiliated. His is related to Sean Puff Daddy Combs, because in the lawsuit, there's an incident where it was him and Aaron Hall who supposedly or allegedly were doing some sort of misconduct, sexual misconduct to a woman. And as I said there, 2 more women have come forward to accuse Sean Diddy Combs of sexual abuse. 1 week after the music mogul settled a separate lawsuit with his singer Cassie that contained allegations of rape and physical abuse. Both of these new suits were filed November 23rd on the eve of the expiration of the Adult Survivors Act, a New York law permitting victims of sexual abuse a 1-year window to file civil action regardless of the statute of limitations, which we all talked about. So if you're wondering why all this coming out on Sean so quickly and everything's happening, these women are coming out, it's in order to hit this deadline. One has to wonder if by the sheer number of men who have been hit with this, you wonder why they don't just, continue to extend the statute of limitations, just get rid of it at all, no limitations, So this is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So let's just go here real quick to my full screen and get these off. So that was about 22 men from 2017, Black men in particular, that have faced this situation, The king is being eroded. So that's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we are. That's where we are. Let's go to this. I just want to end by this and say this in final. So I want to thank everybody. Thank you. By the way, I don't know how you guys feel about the new look. Worked on some lighting techniques, trying to get it to look a little bit more nicer. Tell me what you think of the new look. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. This is definitely a story I'm going to keep track of. If it caught your interest or anything you would like to add, leave it in the comments. Maybe there's other Black men indeed who, Oh, before we go, I want to show you this, right? So since Harvey Weinstein, they've identified like 71 firings and resignations. The men in the list below have been fired, resigned, or experienced similar fallout, right? And that's because of you know, the women coming forward. Here's the accusations. Now, a lot of these people, I don't even know who they are, but you can see that it's just going down. Boom, 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 boom. This is the New York Times reporting. So I wonder if it's just this number is just New York, and it's very possible it is, because remember, in New York alone, 2,500. So you can see here, if you want to get an idea of some of the accusations: sexual harassment of a female coworker, sexual harassment, unwanted advances, making a sexually charged remark, sexual harassment of 3 women, including forced kissing. Listen up, guys. If any of you guys out there thinking of doing any of these things, have done any of these things, beware. Sexual misconduct with casino employees over decades, sexual harassment of a female minor co-worker, sexual misconduct with 4 women, including groping, masturbating, and forced kissing, sexual harassment of a former aide, sexual misconduct with a woman, sexual harassment of 3 female colleagues, sexual harassment of 2 women, sexual harassment of 5 female employees, including unwanted advances, explicit emails, and pornographic photos, sexual misconduct, sexual assault of 4 women, sexual harassment of female employees. Mr. Spurk made public previous accusations of sexual harassment. I mean, sexual harassment of a former colleague, sexual harassment of 2 women, inappropriate touching, improper sexual conduct, asked 2 female staff members to be surrogates to bear his child. Gee, okay. Sexually inappropriate behavior, including unwanted touching. Sexual harassment of 2 women, including masturbating in front of one. Oh my God. Sexual harassment and physical verbal abuse. Sexual harassment and physical and verbal abuse. Unwanted sexual propositions. Sexual abuse of 9 women, some were teenagers. Sexual misconduct include unwanted touching and kissing with 6 women. Sexual misconduct with a coworker, unwanted touching, explicit emails, and I mean, sexually inappropriate behavior, sexual harassment of at least 6 employees. They all tend to be multiple women, you know, sexual harassment of at least 8 women. Charlie Rose, remember Charlie Rose? He used to be a host. And again, a lot of them, this is an interesting, I'll put a link to this in case you guys want to see it. You can see what happened to them. Fired most of the time, resigned, left. I mean, this was, and these, you know, the fallout is a direct result of the accusations. So in a lot of cases, let's just pick some of them and see what some of the responses were. Some people did not respond. If I'm guilty of harassment, then every employee who stole a pencil is guilty of embezzlement. Okay. I'm shattered and heartbroken, and the thought of my actions left members of my team feeling hurt or degraded. I behave insensitively at times, and I accept responsibility. But I do not believe all the allegations are accurate. I expressly denied the allegations. Okay, I deny. I know in my thought nothing that I've done I've denied. So a lot of them have denied, but yet they still had this fallout. They still resigned. They had to resign. They were forced out. And that's my only issue. You know, I think if indeed women have been sexually abused, I have a daughter, I have a mother, a godmother, you know, who are all very close to me. And if any woman is gone under any type of sexual harassment and abuse, absolutely she needs to be able to, you know, report it and come out and everything. I fully 100% support that. But my issue has nothing really to do even with the women. It's just the fact that there's this automatic presumption of guilt, you know, or that just because someone accuses you of doing something, it becomes, you know, a reason for you to lose your livelihood. And I think that's the danger of this here, you know. And look, right now, these are like more famous men. So they're the top crop of men, you know. And you know, we really have to understand what's going on here. I mean, a good example, of course, is the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. That was a clear situation where, you know, in that particular case, you know, the woman was lying, you know, and you know, that's just something that I think we all need to think about really carefully, because people's lives can be destroyed just based on an accusation. This is America. This is the United States of America, and you are entitled to due process. You are entitled to your day in court. You have a right to defend yourself, and you are innocent until a jury of your peers proves you guilty. So that's one point that I want to make very strong and clearly. The other point, sort of broader point that I'd like to make, let me just go full screen out, and then I'm going to end the video. The broader point that I would like to make is that, you know, this affects the images, you know, the image of a people, you know, and I focused on Black men, but men in general, you know, this is very bad image, you know, because unfortunately we live in this country. If you've been accused, and more, especially if it's more than one person who accuses you, people tend to, that's enough, you know. People tend to believe the accusers more. The people who's making the accusation, people tend to believe them, and the people who accuse usually have the fallout and face the consequences. There is a need, in my opinion, for a thoughtful, more informed conversation of these intricate issues, emphasizing the need for justice and fairness for all involved, you know. So let me know what you guys think about in the comments, you know. Let me know what you guys think, you know. It's really difficult. Like I said, a lot of them have denied that they did anything, you know. In the case, obviously, as you saw with Neil deGrasse Tyson, he had his day in court and he was proven innocent. So you have to, you know, look at it from the point of view that some are going to be with malicious intent. Some are not going to be real. They're just accusations, because people know that accusations is enough to get someone fired, or to get someone disgraced, or to tarnish someone's reputation. Just the accusation by itself. And that is wrong. We should stand up against that, in my opinion. Well, let me stop my rant. Thank you very much for watching. This has been another good ride with you. Please remember to subscribe, hit the like button. Please give comments. I'm sure you have comments on this particular issue. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Be good.